So they'll be calling you a radical. Oh boy, the last dance on chemo. It's irony to me how this is all in vogue now. You know, so I listened to the press conference of Karl Malone yesterday. And he says, why didn't you do the interview? And he says, let me tell you, you're all fluff. I wasn't playing Michael Jordan. I was playing the Chicago Bulls. So I was at that game. And this is important that I record this in history. Because nobody saw it. I mean, people saw it, very few. But let's talk about this. I never missed a Jazz playoff game ever until 2000. Then I swore them off. I watched this whole sport be destroyed by the likes of David Stern. Fixing games. I mean, I have the Kobe. Here, this is important. So, for Jazz fans, for people, you know, they destroyed the sport. That game was fixed. The Kings were going to win the NBA title. That game was fixed. That's the game. That's the game. That's the game. That game was fixed. Jazz fans still say that Jordan swiped. That isn't why they lost. They lost because Jerry Sloan was an idiot. Jerry Sloan's dying right now, and this is important because how disgusting the Jazz franchise is, and disgusting, and the disrespect to Bobby Sloan, to their heritage, to all of it. The Miller family are disturbing, disgusting people. So David Stern it's irony. You talk, you know, Kobe, poof, dead, very sad. Talk about a metaphor. 2020, you know, January 26th. That's right when this started. What is? And then they named the virus COVID. COVID means Kobe. Oh, Kobe, what's that mean? Because Kobe is Japanese for great. Fukushima, it's a meltdown. They fixed this game. He went to prison for it. Donnie, he went to prison for it. The referee went to prison. Right on 60 Minutes, they tell you, just like Fukushima, they tell you right in your face. Lake Bardo, I know personally, to Leslie Stahl, full blown out meltdowns in the Pacific Ocean. We've never seen it before, never happened before. Well, fix it, it's like going to the moon. Way bigger than that. They tell you, you can't handle the truth. You don't want the truth. I mean, it's fairy tale America. So let's talk about this game. Let's talk about Karl Malone. Was Karl Malone that good? All that, then some. I watched Stockton play in college. I sat with Frank Layden for years. So let's talk about this. So I'm at that game. I went to all the N.B.A. Finals games. I have the flu game tickets. I have all this. So I scalped a single ticket that day. So a young woman with her boyfriend I seen walking up, and I figured they're daddy's tickets. I don't know, whatever. You know, scalping's legal in Utah. And so I'm like, how much? I think the face value, what's the face value? Now this is important. What's the face value on that ticket? I think, I don't know, it doesn't have the, yeah, it does. $68. $68. N.B.A. Finals. Lower bowl. Right there. You know how good those tickets are? $68. So, I'm like, well, how much you want for the ticket? They just walked up. Give me $60. Those tickets were going for $2,000-3,000 that day. So I go. I'm sitting with guys, hedge fund guys from Chicago. They'd pay $2,000-3,000 for their tickets. Scalping online. I'm sitting with them. The Jazz should have won that series. I mean, Karl Malone, all that, then some. Think about the game before when Karl Malone single-handedly carried. The Jazz were choking, falling apart, including John Stockton was falling apart. He carried them on his back. That's this second all-time leading scorer, the greatest power forward who ever. Oh, no doubt. This dude, MVP, you know, I mean, all that, then some. But just like Will Chamberlain could not beat Bill Russell. Will Chamberlain be the greatest player of all time. He could beat Bill Russell. He couldn't beat Bill Russell. He could not beat him. Bill Russell's the greatest player probably who ever played. 11 rings. 11. How about, you know, it's Jordan. Michael Jordan. All that and some. So Malone, yesterday I listened to his press conference. He says, oh, you think, you know, he was a badass, whatever? Try me. Try me. I was a bad, oh boy. Oh boy. That's what that dude. What a beast, you know. What a cultural. I remember the game when Stockton hit the shot. I was up at my cousin's house when we were listening in Ogden. You could hear the whole city roar. The whole city. People outside. That's how cultural important. I knew Hot Rod Hundley person. Hot Rod. What a gem. what a freaking mind. We go from Hot Rod Hundley to David Locke. I mean, that's how downhill this product is. That's like a Bugatti to a 72 Pinto. So, this is important. So, I scalped that ticket. I'm sitting there. This game's a war like they all were. Jazz got him on the ropes. Jazz are up. By one, have the ball. 40 seconds to go. They're going to... This is how smart Michael Jordan was, how intense. I mean, he waited and waited and waited. They know he's going... They're going to post because Jerry Sloan was that predictable. Jerry Sloan should have won... I know Phil Johnson personally because he coached at Weber. I know Phil really good. If Phil Johnson would have coached that team instead of Jerry Sloan was the most predictable. Why has Jerry Sloan never been coach of the year? Now, Bobby Sloan, I used to sit with her. I sat with Bobby Sloan. She was the greatest fan in one of them ever. I mean, it was such a great product in that old Salt Palace when they moved to the Just. I mean, what a great product. Battistone was the greatest. And so, Larry Miller, I mean, he bought the Jazz with hedge funny. I like it how the Eccles kid sits right down low now. They wouldn't, for security, wouldn't loan him 5 cents. He loan sharked the money and junk bond money. It was all junk bond money. He was paying weekly interest on it. He was a hardcore fan. I watched Larry Miller play fast pitch stuff. You know how good that dude was? Oh boy. But he became this self-righteous, religious freak show like America has. So, I'm at the game. They're up by 1. They post up alone. Jordan circles all the way back. Sneaks up on him. Hadn't done it the whole series. Steals the ball from Karl Malone. That was it. That's the moment that the Jazz franchise, that great 84. We had season tickets in 1979. Me and my cousin bought. We take a bus from Ogden. And they put a keg on the bus. Beer's $1. It was the greatest product ever in the old Salt Palace. Nobody went. 83, Frank Layden takes over. What a great coach. Frank Layden's a gem. So was Scott Layden. That's who found Stockton and Malone. You realize the draft choices? Where they went? How they got Stockton and Malone? Where'd they go? 14th, 15th, 16th? I mean, all that then some. I mean, I remember the first year Malone played. He would flop around like he's dying. You know, he couldn't make a free throw. Boy, he fixed that, didn't he? Think about that beast. You know what kind of touch he had? You know what kind of shooter he was? That mid-range jump shot? The dude was, I put him top 20 greatest players who ever played. So is this guy. But they couldn't beat Jordan, could they? So he doubles down. He steals the ball. I'm sitting with the hedge fund kids, the Chicago guys. They're all honest. Now remember, Pippen's back was all spazzed up. He wasn't going to play in Game 7. Game 7 was going to be in Salt Lake. So I'm like, this is over. And they're like, what do you mean? Oh, I says, you don't think that Michael Jordan's getting the ball? Everybody in the world knew he was getting the ball. Jerry Sloan, Brian Russell could not guard him all series long. He freaking used him like a rat. I mean, he destroyed. Brian Russell was probably one of the more overrated players the Jazz ever had. Chris Morris had been guarding him. Chris Morris was so good, but Sloan didn't like him. He couldn't get over Chris Morris. I'm like, every time Chris Morris came into the game, Chris Morris had such a great year. I used to play blackjack with Chris Morris in Wendover. Oh, what a gem. You know, I was friends with Hot Rod. Hot Rod was the greatest. He was the greatest ever. What a brilliant, what a mind. What a creative, dynamic person. What a product. You know, as the N.B.A. goes, sports goes, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant. To a trainer that I know that trained at Weber State. Kevin, he's a lot like you. He's a big numbers guy. You know, that multiple big brain, you know, Kobe Bryant defied them, spoke multiple languages. Isn't it amazing how sport, basketball will tell the tale, baseball, all of it, Ken Burns on Balco, culture, before it happens? Kobe, you think about it. How significant. You know, David Stern fixed games. David Stern destroyed Adam Silver and Obama. God, talk about the two. I like how Obama's a basketball player. No, he's not. Remember when he got his mom ginger, tried to throw out the first pitch? God, what a sham. So, Barry, you must be on the Harvard basketball team. Why you say such a thing? Tall, skinny black guy at Harvard Law, the whitest place on earth. You got to be on the basketball team. No, I can't walk and chew gum. You know, Whitey from Kansas. What a sham. Trump, what a sham. I mean, they're all shams. So, I tell the hedge fund guys, oh, you don't think he's going to score? Oh, Brian Russell can't guard him. Oh boy. I mean, he does that forward step. Yeah, he swiped, but Brian Russell was gonzoed already. He just kind of gave him a little edge on his momentum. Brian Russell was out of the pit. There's no way. He knew he was done. You think he was going to miss? Mark Jordan was all that then some. Arrogant, freaking dick. Whoa, how about his father being killed on the gambling debt? Whoa, whoa, what a story. What a story. So my friend that I lived in the big house with, he hauled cars for a living. He says, Kevin was not a sports guy. He says, let me tell you a story. I was hauling cars into North Carolina one time. Way back. This is in the 80s. And he says, I parked these cars. I'm waiting for them to open. I'm on, waiting for the dealership to open. This is really before the days of cell phones. He says, some kid comes walking up to me and says, hey, I want to buy a car. I want that car on your thing. And he says, well, it's the dealership. You got to wait for them to open, whatever. And he says, well, what do you mean? And he reached up his leg, and he pulled up, and he had about $30,000. That's when I knew he could buy a really fancy sports car for $30,000. He had about $30,000 taped to his leg. And he says, where the hell you get that freaking money? And he's like, won it last night in a poker game. He says, it took me a few years later to realize it was Michael Jordan. So he was notorious for his gambling. He was notorious for not paying his gambling debts on the golf course. Ask all these guys. I mean, he was a brick. He's a dick to everybody. I like Kobe swiping off Karl Malone. Karl Malone that good? Karl Malone all that and then one of the greatest womanizer. Karl Malone has kids from so many girls around this freaking... don't even get me going on that, including underage ones. So, anyway, what a beast. What an athlete. But he coached Jerry Sloan. Jerry Sloan was the most predictable fool that ever was. I mean, you got Stockton and Malone for 20 years, you should have 4 or 5 banners. They were all that. If Phil Johnson coached it. But Larry Miller was stuck in the mud. He still is stuck in... Well, the Miller family's a disaster now. She married the attorney, put it in a legacy trust. It's so corrupt. It's unreal. So, he drops the shot. I'm like, well, there's still time on the clock. I says, guaranteed. What Sloan always does. He's going to give the ball to Stockton. Stockton's going to take the shot. Johnson knows this. The Bulls know this. He's undynamic. He'll run the exact same play he always runs. The Bulls know. Stockton goes up for the shot. They're right in his face, block it. He gets a piece of it. Game over, series over. So after the game, this is important. So Dennis Rodman, you know how good he was and intense and how hated he was around the league, including, you don't think they hated him in Utah? And, the worst fans in history. So stay with me. So I'm right down there low. Everybody moves down row for the trophy ceremony. Most people just clear out their heartbroken, throwing away tickets, I should have gathered up more tickets. I wish I would have. That's my ticket. Same with the flu game. Flu game tickets are almost impossible to find. I have one because I sat right behind him at the game. I saved it. I knew what it was. I knew what Michael Jordan was. I knew this was the end of his career. I knew how special a player he was. So, after the game, Dennis Rodman, he'd always throw off his jersey, and that physique and do his parade. So, he rips off his jersey like he always does. Comes right up to the fan. He's like right in everybody's face. This dude comes up, takes a full beer, and throws it right from here to there. From here to me, right in Rodman's face off the front row. There's probably about 30 people gathered around all. Right in Rodman's face. Well, Rodman's got 2 bodyguards with him. Rodman's bodyguards go right up into the stands right there. There's going to be a fight. The old security, the Jazz security are 100-year-old dinosaurs. They're shaking, they're knocking knees, they're backing out. So these Rodman dudes are big, these bodyguards. They get it right up. This dude rips off his shirt. I know him. This dude looks like Hulk Hogan at his prime's big brother. Arms like this, and he's like, come on. You should have seen those bodyguards. They turn around and go, whoo, back right out. And then the Jazz fans were so pissed. Because they knew how good they were. They knew what Karl Malone was. We all did. We watched John Stockton rise up. I watched him play at Weber State when he played for Gonzaga on a horrible team. Horrible. Who found him, the diamond in the rough? Frank Layden. Frank Layden, that Fort Greene. Donovan Mitchell's from the same neighborhood. Brooklyn. Frank Layden was a genius. Frank Layden hates the Jazz. I sit with Frank Layden at Weber State basketball for years. He and I'll tell you a great story. This is a great story, Colby. So, I'm involved. I was working for a Bagman in those days. A Bagman died, Weber State, blah, blah. Keeping Ruben and guys in class, and them Harden guys. The best coach they ever had. So we're sitting there. This is when Damian Lillard had broke his foot. Damian Lillard would sit in a chair in the Weber State Arena and shoot for 2-3. I used to throw in the ball sometimes, you know. That's how work ethic. Randy Ray used to say Damian Lillard's cousin, Davian's got way more talent than him, but he doesn't have the work ethic. I says, nobody has the work ethic of Damian Lillard except for one guy, Karl Malone. Nobody had a work ethic like Karl Malone. Nobody. Talk about a beast. Talk about an... Can you imagine him as an NFL player? What a player. All that, then some. I loved his press conference yesterday. Yeah, I wasn't playing Michael Jordan. I was playing the Bulls, and how good were those Bulls? That wasn't just Michael Jordan. How good was Steve Kerr? How good was Pippen? How good was they all knew their role, and they knew, let him do his thing. And boy, did he. Couldn't beat him. Just like Wilt Chamberlain could not beat Bill Russell. Havlicek. How about John Havlicek? He's top 5. You know, and so I'm sitting there, and there's like Utah Jazz N.B.A. scout. I know a lot of the scouts, you know, and so here he comes walking over to say hi to Frank. I'm sitting with Frank. You know, we're watching. There's a kid playing for Eastern Washington was really good. And Frank's like, what are you doing here? Oh, hi, Frank. What are you doing here? He says to the scout. You know, Frank liked it because it was pure good basketball. It still is. And he's like, I'm here looking at a player. Who are you looking at? This kid from Washington, blah, 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 blah. I looked right at this scout, and I said, well, your N.B.A. player sitting right there. And Damian Lillard was sitting very close to me, sitting right there. And this was right before I got leukemia. And he says, and he started to laugh. Damian Lillard's seen him laugh. You know how good that dude is? Damian Lillard, talk about the Wallace curse. He probably could have been MVP, hurt his foot. The Kobe game, I sat right here and says, watch Damian Lillard go off before, this is before the game happened. He went crazy. I mean, he's all that because he's frustrated because, they never got to play. 1 year before Fukushima happened to the moment, to the second. One of the weirdest things I've ever seen in sport culture. I'm in the D Event Center that the Wattis, the nuclear industry, built, the Purple Palace. The Weber State's got the Damian Lillard team is that good then some. They are that good. God only knows how deep in the tournament they could go. Just like when they lost to Florida up there after they beat North Carolina. God only knows how deep that team could go. But they just, hard luck. Hard luck. The Wattis curse, just like the Utah Jazz. So, it's a curse on this place. So, they're up by 22 points at halftime. In the Big Sky, 22 at halftime with Damian Lillard on the floor. They lost. A kid named Anthony Johnson never missed a free throw, never missed a field goal the entire game. Later, he said, I was born right there where that thing is sacred, hallowed ground. The angel's there, right there. Later, he said, I had an out-of-body experience. Never did it before, never did it happen. The Wattis curse. So, you're all watching this thing now, and it's culturally so significant, and it's so big, and it's so grand. You know, that was the end. I knew it was the end. The Jazz never recovered. You know, they had Darren Williams. I remember arguing with my friends. I'm like, you got a chance to draft Chris Paul or Darren Williams? Are you crazy? Take Chris Paul. So the bad fans, the Chris Paul situation, I know Donovan Mitchell personally from Brooklyn, blah, blah, blah. Don't feed the line. Donovan Mitchell to Kevin Blanch in the New York City airport while he's flying to Utah. And I'm like telling him about, you see these fans up in, you know, Kevin Durant's face at the game. And then he scores it. Yeah, don't feed the line. You know, but they all forget about me because it's all about, I want to say this to all your N.B.A. players and all you superstars and all your, where's your crown? Where's my soup can? Where's my soup can? Where's my soup can?
Right there, right next to your foot.
Where's your crown? Where's your crown, kings?
Kevin,
David Stern.
You should say
When your crown, king, nothing. Where's your crown now? Where's your crown? You don't support my activism?
Kevin.
I've always supported you.
You should say the bad pun.
What bad pun?
Why was it so windy at the basketball game?
Why was it so windy at the basketball game? Because you suck.
Because there were so many fans.
Oh, that's a good one. Why is it so windy? I like that one. That's a good one. You know the other one I like, the Fukushima one? What'd the fish say when he was swimming up the river?
Damn.
Yeah. So, Karl Malone was all that and then some. Top 10 greatest players of all time? Oh, yeah. But championships matter. Michael Jordan? I say Bill Russell, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This is how ignorant American populace is. Michael Jordan, greatest college player. Michael Jordan was in the top 200 greatest college player. Well, not even the top greatest college player at North Carolina ever. He might make the top 10 at North Carolina. He wasn't all that. Didn't play on it. Oh, he was in the NBA. How about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in college? Oh, forget it. They just annihilate people who run 30. So, this is how ignorant American populace is. So, those are your top 3, and I put them right there. You can divide them up, but it's no doubt. It's Bill Russell, it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, it's Michael Jordan. Those are the top 3. Who's 4? Will Chamberlain. But he couldn't beat Bill Russell, or he'd be number 1. Who's number 5? John Havlicek. John Havlicek died this year. John Havlicek, how about this guy? Oh, he's an ass, by the way. I used to coach 3-on-3. I coached for years around here. And we played their kids. My team beat them.
Who is he?
John Stockton. What a prick. You think Karl Malone, prick friendly? Karl Malone, everybody loved him around here. Karl Malone, you know, booty, lots of girls. You know, and so the kids went up to him and talked to him and said, he's just a dick to him, just a dick. And speak of the Pizzagate, my friend used to deliver pizzas to the Stocktons and Havliceks because they lived next door. He says, Havlicek, give him tips, give him Christmas present. John Stockton won't need tip. He says, he's the biggest cheapskate. Oh, they just hated him. Everybody did. He was a dick. Still is. Still is. And so, but Malone, everybody loved him in this state. What was not to like about the guy? He was so friendly. He was so giving. He'd go out. By the way, Larry Miller ripped him off big time. Really ripped him off big time. Larry Miller turned out to be, remember his self-righteous, I don't watch the games on Sunday, and then the media catches him over there peeking around the corner. There's, you know, diabetes. The family blew up. The franchise blew up. But it's culturally significant. It matters. I'm glad that they did this piece when they did it. But these things need to be told. You know, The Last Dance, you've seen the environment, you've seen the ecology, but sport mirrors. Ken Burns, you know, he drank the Kool-Aid. The 11th inning, The Last Dance. So I just wanted to record history, you know. I have probably the greatest jazz collection, well, N.B.A. collection.
Sorry. Here's your shaking rattle.
What's that for?
Shake.
Just to make noise at the game. So I want to donate it to the Millers. I called them. I talked to them. So this is real important. So the Miller family, this is what dirtbags they are. Mary's the attorney. You know, no passion. No, they don't give a shit. They give a shit about their money. She put it in. I mean, the family's blown to smithereens. One of them died of Oxycontin overdose. The others, you know, moved to San Diego. You know, they sell cars. Stockton to Malone. It's disgusting. It's disturbing as hell. You know, the game's, it's a terrible product. The price is $68. That's right there. Right, I'm sitting right there across. Let's see. Let's read this off. Where I was sitting. Maybe you can find out there. Portal X, Section 20, Row 28, Seat 11, $68. You know. Wow. It's a disgusting product. So Bobby Sloan, who died of cancer in the Energy Solutions nuclear, who was the greatest jazz fan, she collected everything. She saved everything. Everything. So I went to high school with Jerry Sloan's lover. I stuck at their house. You know, like, Jerry Sloan was an alcoholic, drunk dick. He'd pass out at Green Street on the table, try to fight her, and he was just the most horrible person ever. And she's creepy as hell. So he's got dementia. He's dying right now. What a player he was. I mean, coach, what a player. Ugh. But he couldn't beat Wilt, could he? Chamberlain. They kept going up against them in the playoffs. Those Bulls were all that and then some, but they couldn't beat Chamberlain and the Lakers. Jerry West. There's a top 10. That's probably number 6 of all time. Jerry West.
Who do you think's number 1?
Probably Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Bill Russell. Or Michael Jordan.
No, Michael Jordan gets way too much credit.
I think so too.
I think he'd take probably like 5th place.
Yeah, maybe. What about Wilt Chamberlain? What about John Havlicek? John Havlicek has, what, 9 rings? Some without Bill Russell. But anyway, so they auctioned all her stuff, this person, in boxes. I went to the jazz. I said, you don't want it? You name it. I didn't have any money. You know, so I had less than $100 on me. I got some stuff. Some people, I says, here, let me educate about this. And they hadn't a clue. People were just buying boxes of stuff. I'm like, what about that? I have the flu game, Bobby Sloan's seat. I have this, Bobby Sloan's. I have hers. Because they didn't know what it was. And I says, well, and one guy, he says, you helped me out so much, Kevin. He says, you told me what this was, and he was buying up. He gave me two for $30. I have Karl Malone's highest scoring game, Bobby Sloan's seat, her ticket. She saved her. She loved the Jazz. She was part, and look at this. This is how disgusting they are. No respect. I mean, look what they did to Karl Malone. No wonder Karl Malone ain't around here.
Kevin?
Huh?
You should get the game that NFL football player played with cancer. Ticket to that game when he scored the touchdown.
Yeah, he got a leukemia survivor. He got a touchdown. Thank you to the Titans for doing that. I'm an leukemia survivor. So I respect Bobby Sloan, dying of cancer. So many of these great fans. We had the greatest fans in the world. It was the greatest product ever, especially when Battistone had it. North until they moved from the salt palace to that big ugly drum over for greed. It's greed. It's sickening. The sport's sickening. What they've done is sickening. What Stern and freaking Silver did to this game is disgusting. It's disgusting. Turning it into this elitist, freaking horrible product. People don't even go to the $12 for a beer when they used to be $1. Kids can't go to the game. You can't even take a child to the game. What are you going to do? Spend 3 weeks' wages to take the family to it? Disgusting. It's a disgrace to our country. It's a disgrace to our place. They make me sick. We sit outside and watch the big screen and root against them. Also, fans. It's disturbing. Where's your crown? So, Kobe. But Karl Malone, all that then some. Top 10 greatest players of all. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Couldn't be Jordan, could he? Was that Karl Malone's fault? No. That was Jerry Sloan's. And I love Jerry. I know Jerry, but he was horrible, and sad to see him go down this way. But the disrespect of the Utah Jazz franchise, of Bobby Sloan's legacy, and her dying of cancer so young, she was a beautiful gem. I used to sit with her. I used to be friends with her because she was something. And they just did. She had the greatest jazz collection ever, and they just went. Poof. It's very sad. And I talked to the Jazz. I talked to the Jazz. Well, not interested. Don't care. Stay tuned.